Why does Bayonetta 3 keep generating controversial headlines? Whether it's disputes over voice actor pay, complaints about censorship, or rumours that key developers have secretly left the project, the games media has been particularly obsessed with listing the game's perceived troubled development. For years, the developers at Platinum Games have been forced to repeatedly insist that no, actually, Bayonetta 3's development is going fine. There are no major problems behind the scenes. No more problems, at least, than would be expected of any hotly anticipated installment in a popular franchise. Now that the game has released to a generally favourable critical reception, the question needs to be asked, why was there so much discussion of its development? Why did the gaming media turn every scrap of news about its development into a minor scandal? For all that developers at Platinum Games are keen to quash rumours of behind-the-scenes troubles, they're also not very forthcoming about much of the development process for the game. This radio silence has only contributed to fan speculation. This being the case, we present a brief history of Platinum Games developers telling journalists that everything is fine with Bayonetta 3. This isn't a complete timeline, but it's enough to give a snapshot of various moments throughout the game's development. We'll present this without commentary. You can draw your own conclusions about what was going on. The game was first announced at E3 in 2017, and by 2019 fans were already questioning whether Bayonetta 3 would ever see the light of day. In May 2019, studio head Atsushi Inaba made a public statement suggesting that the game's development was unorthodox. He said, "With Bayonetta 1 and 2 we had basically an orthodox development process, at least for us. We did stage 1, then stage 2, then stage 3 and built up the drama and pacing chronologically. For Bayonetta 3, we can say that we learned enough from making the past two games to change our process in a way that's different to what I just described." When Bayonetta 3 then didn't appear at that year's E3, Inaba insisted that this was nothing to worry about, saying, "No, development is actually going quite well. Games aren't usually done in a year or two. It takes a while. That's all. Things are going well and I know lots of people are asking for it. Giving updates for everything at E3 isn't the smartest PR strategy to begin with, so just because we're not showing it here doesn't mean that it's not going well." At around the same time, the game's executive director, Hideki Kamiya, explained a little more about the complex business arrangements between Sega and Nintendo that were happening behind the scenes. He said, "As for Bayonetta 3, it was decided from the start that the game was going to be developed using Nintendo's funding. Without their help, we would not have been able to kick off this project. All of the rights still belong to Sega and Nintendo. The rights owners decided that the game should be made for Switch. Game development is a business. Each company has its own circumstances and strategies. Sometimes this means games get made, sometimes it means they get cancelled. But I believe that every single person involved is dedicated to delivering the best possible experience. I know that, to me at least, that's one of the biggest goals when I set to work. I cannot express how happy I am that we get to make Bayonetta 3, and we intend to do everything within our power to make it as good as it can be. That's all we can do, and we consider it our greatest mission. It took a while for production of Bayonetta 3 to be okayed, but now that it has kicked off, I hope it will turn into a wonderful encounter for all of you." By March of 2020, developers and journalists alike were already joking about the lack of Bayonetta 3 news. An interviewer for Gematsu asked Inaba, "Before we go, can you do that thing where you tell me development on Bayonetta 3 is going well and there's nothing to worry about?" He laughed and responded, "There's nothing to worry about at all. There's nothing to worry about. Things are going very well. Really, there's nothing to worry about." Alas, this wasn't enough to allay fears about the project. In May of 2020, Kamiya said, "I'm on Twitter, so I see a lot of comments every day. I'm happy that there's still anticipation for the title, but one thing I would like to address is the trend I'm seeing, which is people who are starting to ask if the game has been cancelled. I want you guys to take any concerns you have like that and throw them out the window immediately, because we're still hard at work on it and it hasn't been cancelled by any means. Please look forward to it." Jumping forward to September of 2021, Bayonetta 3 director Yusuke Miyata made a blog post on the Platinum Games website insisting that the game was nearly ready. He said, "We're in the home stretch of development right now, working on making the core of the game even more fun and test playing non-stop. As the culmination of this series loved by all of you, we're giving our all to make it a masterpiece worthy of the name Bayonetta, so please wait and anticipate just a bit longer. Now that the game has released, it seems that the developers have been vindicated. There was no major catastrophe during development, and if there was, it's long since been dealt with. There's no one reason why a game like Bayonetta 3 might receive so much controversial coverage, but a likely cause is the overwhelming demand for news. Games media outlets quickly discovered that Bayonetta 3 was a good source of website traffic, creating an incentive to publish as many stories as possible on the subject, even when there wasn't official news available. Issues that wouldn't be given much attention for other games became big news for Bayonetta 3. The moral of the story, as Bayonetta 3 has now finally released to critical acclaim, is sometimes everything really is fine.